the BMW 5 Series Touring. What is great that we have the headlights, always standard equipment with LED. Optional, what we have here, are those high beam LED that you have, and then with 500 meters of range. And you see they lead over with aluminum accentuation here to the now bigger double kidney with adaptive air intakes. At the moment they are closed. 4,94 meters or 16 foot 2 is the length. Same for the sedan and the estate version. Here we also have an M Sports package just for the visual part with the M logo here. Then 17 up to 19-inch rims. So we see the 19-inch rims here, and they look very beautiful also in the M style. Also the rear is rather conservative, but you know, they do have the strategy to go for an evolution in design, and this segment is also, you know, not about doing design revolutions in general. The taillights, they're pretty similar to the ones we see at the sedan, just, you know, this area is of course different. And here you will see we'll still have the split hatch. And if engine doesn't really matter to you, you don't need 6, you need 8 cylinders, whatever, you just say, I also want to go with the basic, and maybe even for that one you can get a sporty styling. And now to the engine information. Here we go. So this one here is the big diesel 530D, 265 horsepower, 3 liter of displacement. Then there's a 520D, 2 liter, 190 horsepower. And then we have 2 liter petrol, 252 horsepower, the 530i, or 3 liter 540i with 340 horsepower. That's the engine lineup so far. And now new was the M550i, the new 8-cylinder then with 462 horsepower. And then I got the question if that will also be available for the Touring. No, it won't be. So we can tell you today they have decided to launch here for the diesel the or in the Touring combination, the M550D. So the Touring will get the most powerful, or this M Performance version as the diesel, and it will still be the, you know, basic diesel engine we see here right now, but not just with twin power turbo, but with 4 turbos then, and it will reach a power output of 400 horsepower. The big key here for the 5 Series, and you can also remotely park that car. We will show you that at the very end of this episode a little bit, or also check the 550i review for that. Let's open the door. Here we go, and visually very nicely done with this aluminum and bright contrast, and very well processed, also soft up at the top. Fairly easy entry, and the one is 86 or 6'1", and this one is here now equipped with a panoramic roof that leaves less headroom than we have in the sedan. For example, we've shown you the 550i without the panoramic roof. Then you can compare it if you're interested in that. Then what you can see here, all soft in the dashboard, high class building processing, and also in the lower part, it is not hard plastic, and they really step up the game. So the 5 Series is the best processed BMW from the interior so far. We really have to say that. Climate unit is in the lower part, and you can see visually one unit with a new screen. It starts with 8.8, this a little smaller. This one then the optional screen, because the manufacturers always equip everything with the car, even if we want to show you some basic cars, sometimes it's quite often not possible. This one here, 10.25 inch. Instruments, you see they come alive when you start the engine. Nice visualization, this is standard mode. And if you go to the sport mode, you see they change and you have a bigger digital speed and this red racing background. And now to the head-up display, you can see it there. It's not flickering, by the way, in real life, it's just on camera. And speed info, for example, but also GPS info will be displayed on there. And it is 70% larger. It's a very big one. It's the best on the market, I think. And infotainment system in detail, you see at the right and left side there's the sensors. And then you can also use it as a touchscreen now. This is quite new still at BMW. And good responsive times, I really like that. Very good entry, the doors open almost 90 degrees, that's remarkable. Then this huge panoramic roof, also good for the rear passengers that you can see outside, it's really nice. Headroom wise, still some left. Again, I'm 1.86 m or 6'1". Opening the electric hatch, that is standard equipment. And wow, that's a good offering of room. Some hangers right there. And, for example, here you can store the covers. You know, the cover for the trunk, and then they just flip right there. And here, when I put this one there, also the other one. So good solution, and wow, how much stuff we can load through here. To the very top, maybe you're on holiday, then you can also use the split hatch here and then put something on top. So let's go with our driving part. Interesting is here that we also have this integral steering, the rear axle steering integrated with this vehicle. And this is a really interesting function because the turning circle, for example, is really, really small. Look at that. I mean, for such a long vehicle. And also when you are turning that vehicle in slalom, especially at low speeds, because at low speeds, the rear axle goes in the opposite direction. And wow, this is really a very interesting feeling. Also here, when you're steering close surroundings, it's totally different than when you do not have this option. And correct myself, for the M550i, yes, the standard M550i is not to be meant with that way, but you can still get it optionally for 3,500 euros in an M Professional package, so it's possible. And yes, it feels a little less natural than if you just have, you know, the normal steering in the front, because it feels a little bit artificial, but it is a great feature for handling in the city, and it's also a lot of fun. It's really creating a totally different driving feeling. And when you drive faster, you experience it on the motorway, then the rear axle wheels, they steer in the same direction. You get some more stability then. So that is how those systems are always working. But again, it's giving you great agility then, especially at the lower speeds. And this car is, of course, about the driving dynamics. It's really always astonishing how agile the car is, although it's really big. Especially with this integral steering, you just want to do slalom all the time. It's really so much fun. Oh, I think cameraman Michel is getting a little bit sick by the slalom. Yeah. Let's maybe leave that for a second, but I think you guys had fun, you know. You don't feel the G-forces on camera, so probably better for you guys. The 530D, the big diesel, is really powerful. Also has an interesting sound. not, of course, that refined as the big petrol engines. But for diesel, quite good. Also, some sound is artificially created. Let's go to the sport mode when we go on the motorway now. Then show you earlier that some characteristics changed visually, and also throttle input, for example, and stiffness 62. 120. 140. So it was 62, 140 kilometers. So really good performance. Also how harmonic, how smooth this performance comes. So you won't lack any power with this diesel, not at all. That's for sure. But of course, diesels are getting, are in a little crisis. Let's talk that way in image-wise. There's no great alternative yet to someone who's really dying 40, 50,000 kilometers a year. Doing salesman, business service, for example. But for every other, not so much range per year. So it's more and more important to get small petrol engines, maybe also CNG, electric and stuff. That's all evolving. But still a lot of people are going for this diesel here when they use it for a long range car, and therefore we're also testing it today here for you. And from the diesels we know in general, this one here, the big BMW diesel, really does a great job. Such a calm engine, also gives you a lot of serenity. You don't have to turn it up really. Also in the low RPM regions, always gives you abundance of power already. And now to our conclusion, 5 Series Touring here for the BMW. So it was very interesting, as we have more versatility in the rear, of course. We still have the same features also with the remote parking control. I've shown you with the M550i sedan. And so there's also the possibility that we just continue talking and the car says goodbye then. So exterior, I think elegant sedan, that's for sure. Interior, quite versatile and also high class in the building process. 3 years later then. And also driving wise, of course, good dynamics. I think BMW is really leading in the driving dynamics for sure. Also with the touring, it doesn't make a big difference if it's a touring or a sedan. They drive quite like. Just the air suspension is of course a difference, and I do like air suspension as they offer you a lot of comfort. So, but you have to say that already the basis suspension here from the 5 Series is that great that you don't necessarily need an air suspension. Here it just makes sense if you really have a lot of stuff then in the rear, that you still get the very same level then. And so for the touring it might make sense. In general, the suspensions we see from BMW, very good. The big diesel is very, very powerful, and so it's also basically enough to have this one. You don't need a more powerful one. You can also go for a smaller in general. So I want to hear your feedback. Which one is your favorite 5 Series, your favorite 5er BMW? Is it the Touring or is it the sedan? Which version are you dreaming of at the moment? And let's discuss this also in the comments. And of course you can also check out other reviews, for example from the Mercedes E-Class. We have so many different versions, also the T model, then also sedans, E43, E63, so many to compare, and also our other 5 Series review. We will also link them in the video description, or sometimes Michelle also does those video cards in the end that you can also click them, for example. So always lead over to the next review and keep supporting us. Thank you.